white guy, because he was already on my list, the white guy goes, "You racist bitch." And
I want you around,
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are old here, welcome back. I am Angel, the Psych-NP, known to most. Today I wanted to kind of talk to us all about racism in healthcare, and it's not necessarily, it's not like just a black and white thing or a white on black thing. It happens across the board. The reason why I wanted to bring it up and talk to you all about it is because I experienced it at the bedside, but I definitely experienced it as a provider. So kind of some of the things that happens is people decide that they don't want you as a provider. And really, in my opinion, if an organization supports that, it's probably not an organization that I want to work for. Because if we start letting people pick and choose, who they want to see as a provider based on the color of their skin, then we going like down real fast. So it happened at the bedside. It's not new to me. There were times when I worked at different hospitals where people specifically asked for, let's say, they didn't want a black person to take care of them, but they would wait till maybe myself or somebody else left the room and like tell the next person that come in that they could relate to, or they would just when you're in there, you really not engaging in care with them. They don't want you to do anything for them or anything like that. I remember a time. Now it's different if somebody is saying that they want a Spanish nurse or something like that, because it's a language barrier. So I understand that. But even then, sometimes you can't, honor that, because sometimes we just short staffed. We have who we have. Then what if there's a nurse who's been seeing, this is her third shift, and she had the same load of patients for the last 2 days. And for me, I'm big on one of those nurses. Like, if I've been with the same patients for my first day and my second day, on my third day, if I come in there and they don't switch my assignment, I'm pissed. Like, I am pissed off, because it's the continuity of care. These patients. You don't have to go through this long, drawn-out report. What's going on with the patient. You know what I mean? It's also great for continuity of care. So these are some things that you deal with. But again, language barrier is not racism. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just giving an example of how that's a request that makes sense, but not because I'm black and you don't want to be taken care of by me. There's this wife at the bedside with her husband. The husband is the patient, and the husband goes, because they knew it was a strike, and they knew on the strikes that nurses come in from all over the place. So the husband goes, "Where are you girls from?" So before I can respond, or my coworker, the wife goes, "Honey, most colors are from the South." What? Ma'am, colors? This what we saying right now? And I'm like, bring it down. Me and the nurse looked at each other, because we like, this lady just, in this day and age, said the word colors. So I feel like I'm a pretty rational person. They were older. So I know that back in the days, black people were referred to as colors. Now, it wasn't nothing wrong with her, from what I could tell mentally, that she knows that in this, this was 2017, I think. Ma'am, I know that we ain't called colors right now, but I'm going to give you a pass because that's what you grew up with. And let's be real, I wasn't going to say nothing disrespectful to the lady anyway. She's my elder. We're in a hospital setting, my job, it's all kind of things that go into play in these situations. And I'm not telling anybody to tolerate disrespect or anything like that. But in that moment, I made the decision to just like, my friend was like, oh, I'm from New Orleans, and I was like, I'm from Miami. And they were very nice people. It's not like after that, it's not like she wasn't talking to us, she wasn't engaging with us, but she did say, honey, most coloreds are from the South. So I was just like, wow. I was like, these are the things that people don't know, that it all goes into what we deal with at the bedside. I've witnessed things of not necessarily nurses, like environmental services. I've witnessed people say things that were demeanoring to environmental services in a setting of like class, like classism, not necessarily racism, but classism. But I'm saying all those things to say is that all of these things that we have to deal with in healthcare. So specifically right now, as providers, some of the things that if you're going to be a provider or going into this field to be a provider that you may have to deal with is, again, racism in the form of somebody not wanting you to be their provider, or people closing down on you because they don't want to talk to you. The last assignment that I worked on, it was in a predominantly white state. I do my research on every state that I go to and do a contract, and it's not specifically to look for racism type of stuff, but it's something that you do have to take in mind when you're taking contracts. So it's not a black or like, oh, because I'm black, I'm researching that. We all should be researching everywhere we go for our safety, and not, dealing with racism, dealing with, crime, all type of stuff like that. So I always research. And again, like I said, this state was like, I want to say maybe 98% white. I could go 4 or 5 weeks in this state without seeing a black person. But I felt safe. I've never a time when I was out in that state that I felt unwelcome, that I felt like I got looks of like, what are you doing here? Like, I've never felt that. And I went everywhere. That's one thing about me. If I'm on a contract, I'm going everywhere. I'm outside, I'm in the restaurants, I'm exploring nature, I'm doing everything. So, and I did all of those things there, and I felt very safe. But in the prison, I felt safe in the prison too. I have to say that I felt safe in the prison. I didn't feel anything from staff in the prison. I did have an incident though, where somebody referred to me as a racist bitch. And what that was like was, when I come in the mornings, I have requests in my mailbox from inmates that want to be seen by psychiatry. Usually they want to increase in Suboxone, or they having like some tremors from the antipsychotics or something like that. So we need to make either some medications we need to either make some medication adjustments, or we need to stop the man, whatever the case may be. So I have these requests there. But when I get the request, I have 10 days to see the people once I get the request. Unless it's urgent, you know what I mean? Unless it's something like pressing and urgent. So on this particular day, I was running up on my 10th day of somebody who had given me a request. So when I go to the unit, there's a guy, which happens to be one of the guys that I was going to see. And then there's this other guy. The guy that I was already going to see is black, and the other guy is white. They're friends. They both want increases in their Suboxone, but I had my list of people already that I was going to see. The black guy just happened to be on the list because he was coming up on his 10th day. So when I go to the officer, I give him my list of people who I want to see, so he could pull them off the unit. And, he sits with me, not with me, but right outside the room while I see them. And, that's what was happening. So when I go get the black guy, because he was already on my list, the white guy goes, "You racist bitch." And I'm like, whoa, I didn't see that one coming. And then I'm like, that is all you could say right now in this situation, is that I'm a racist bitch? So he got pulled off the unit by officers. He was a trustee, which means you have a job in the jail. So they took his job. They put him on like a D report, I think is what it's called when they get disciplined. But they get to take the D reports to court to like they have a hearing whether they were right or wrong or whatever. So I don't know actually whatever happened with that. But because of his behavior around the unit, he ended up getting sent somewhere else anyway. But that's things that you have to deal with, like in settings. Like I was in an all-white setting, and because I'm sure if I was a white provider and that same situation happened, what else would he have said? But because I was black, he took the opportunity to call me a racist bitch. Now, on those units, there are, in this particular jail, I should say, there were a bunch of people with like swastika tattoos like all over their body. They forehead, like everything was swastika tattoos. So what am I to assume from that? If somebody got a whole body full of swastika tattoos and I got to take care of them, right? So it's always in the back of your mind when you see somebody like that, like you're a little bit uncomfortable. But I took care of this guy. He was very short with me all the time. But he was never rude or disrespectful to me. But he was very short with me. He'll be like, oh, I need, this medication, or I can't sleep, or whatever the case may be. But it would be very short. I was never really able to have a engaging conversation with him to find out. Like, say for instance, if somebody tell me that they're depressed, they want to start an antidepressant, I want to, dig in because I want to help you to get to like, why are you depressed? I'm going to give you a little bit of therapy too, because I feel like everybody who is on medication should be in therapy. So, but he, like if he, he would tell me what's wrong with him, but I couldn't dig in to get to the bottom of it or to help him through it. He just wanted medication because he didn't want to talk to me. But on my day, like 2 weeks when it was time for me to leave my contract, I started letting everybody know that my contract was over, you'll be getting a different provider. And this one guy with all these swastikas, he came, he wanted to meet with me. And he basically, I think he's shed a swastika tear, like he felt bad, that he was so short with me, that he didn't give me more time. And he was like, you are one of the ones that actually cared. He said, you see all my tattoos, you never treated me differently. Anytime I asked to see you, you came and seen me. I didn't feel like you drugged me out a long time. Like he was really, happy that, we had some type of interaction. And I think, if I'm going to be honest about that setting, a lot of those people, if you have lived somewhere and you really haven't gotten out of the state, maybe you have not really ever seen a black person in person other than TV, or never had like a close encounter with them. And I want to believe that a lot of people in that jail, that may have been the case. And maybe what they were taught, maybe I dispelled that a little bit by being nice to them and treating them with respect and care that they deserve, regardless if they got 25,000 swastikas all over their body, I'm a firm believer in that hate is taught, and that people are raised up that way. We see all the time on social media the innocence of children when they talking about black and white stuff, as there's this cute video going around with this little white girl, and she goes, her mom is like, who's this? And it's a picture of Martin Luther King, and she goes, it's Martin Luther King, and she goes, he died for our sins. And they're so innocent. Jesus died for our sins, not Martin Luther King, but it's the innocence of them trying to learn and whatever. But if you're not teaching them that, you're teaching them hate, you're teaching them that, you know, all black people or all white people are evil, or don't trust white people, or whatever the case may be, then that's what they grow up to believe. And I think I dispelled that for some of them. Some of them will be like, oh, Miss Snipes, your hair, like, one day, because, you know, I'm coming to work one day, my hair long, and then when I take it out, I'll come back to work and my hair short. They're like, Miss Snipes, you cut all your hair. And I'm like, no, those were stitches. Well, how did you do that? You know, and it's a question because they don't know. So I explained to them, it's not a big deal. I don't feel insulted because a white person doesn't know how, you know, how black people deal with their hair. Like, that's nothing to be insulted about. You know, they just don't know. You know, so, but in the current setting that I'm in, I have to say, and I don't want to make it seem like it's all a white, you know, white people not trusting black people thing. I have black people that don't trust white people. In the current setting I'm in, I've had black people tell me, because, oh man, I don't trust them, man. I don't trust, they use another word, and they don't, because, you know, in the history of black and white in this country, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, if you see what you see on TV, you know what you know, you feel what you feel, you experience what you experience. So if you somebody and you got this white provider, so it's, and you just feel like, I can't trust them. I don't want to tell him what I'm really feeling or experiencing because I don't know, I don't trust them. So you know, if you're white and you're watching this, you will experience it too. So we all have to work on building trust in this setting to take care of them. Only thing, you know, I'm not encouraging nobody to tolerate no flat out disrespect. Like, but, you know, somebody who just shutting down because I'm their provider and they don't want to talk to me, if I could get enough out of you to help you out, then that's what I'll do. But what ends up happening is you start building a trust with them. You start to build a trust with them, and they start to, more and more you see them, they start telling you things. And then before you know it, you trust them. But then, you know, it's the trust is so strong once you build it, that one little thing, and it's like, oh my goodness, I made all this progress with this guy, and this one little thing happening. So you have to be very transparent with everything you're doing to them. Not doing to them, every medication you're prescribing to them. You have to be very transparent, like, let them know, hey, I'm putting you on this medication. It may or may not work. It may take 4 to 6 weeks before you start experiencing something of the full efficacy of it, the effects of it. If you don't, that doesn't mean that there's no help for you. We just have to try you on another medication. You know, you gotta just be real open with them, because the moment they give you trust and then whatever you do for them don't work, is they want to shut down. Man, I ain't trying nothing else, you know, like, that ain't work, man, you know, like, I don't want to be taking all those medications anyway, you know, like, so it's very prevalent, you know, in this world today. You're going to experience it, you're going to deal with it. And I think that the best way to deal with it is, you know, if long as somebody is not being straight up disrespectful to you, or you don't feel threatened by them, then try to build trust with them, because we're all taught different things when we're raised. We are all born in different cultures and places where we don't know what people have been taught or told. You know, so I don't feel like, if you are, some people choose to be ignorant, which is what racism is. Some people choose to be ignorant, but a lot of people were raised with hatred in their, you know, raised that way. So, and I feel like I truly dispelled that with just being nice and letting somebody know that I care about you. And I didn't have to say it. It's that I showed up for you, you know. I showed up for you. When I saw this guy with a whole bunch of swastikas all over his face and everything, I could have easily said to another provider, you know, hey, can you take this guy? Like, I don't really trust the fact that he got all these swastikas all over him. Like, I don't know if I want to be in a room with him, you know, or whatever, you know. I could have done that, but I didn't. I stayed. I saw him, you know. I treated him when he wanted to be treated, and when I was leaving, I think I made the swastika. How you pronounce it? Swastika cry. I made the swastika. Me being nice made the swastika cry. So yeah. Also, outside of black and white racism, you are going to see Hispanic and black racism. You know, it's just, how do we get away from this? Like, my goodness, it's so annoying. It's so unnecessary. You know, I don't know how we get away from this, because, like, you know, I just told you some ways to deal with it as a provider, but like inmate to inmate, you got all these fights and stuff breaking out on the units because the Hispanics think they better than the blacks, and the blacks think, why you over here? And it's all this. Y'all both in jail. Like, you black, you Hispanic. Right now, y'all both criminals in this setting, you know. So who better than who? Y'all gotta wake up at the same time, go to sleep at the same time. Y'all gotta do all this stuff at the same time. Y'all both. Why are we having these interracial fights in jail? It's stupid. It's stupid. So I just want you all to know that, well, it really that I didn't want you all to know. I just want you all to know that you're still going to experience that. And I think the way you deal with that is build a trust factor with people. Be nice. Be nice to people. You know, you're there to be a provider. You're there to take care of people. And if you're a nurse watching this, you're there to take care of people. You're there to help people. As long as somebody is not disrespecting you. Because you don't have to be, like, disrespect could happen and it outside of racism. You know what I mean? I've been at the bedside and I've watched people be disrespectful to nurses, call nurses everything. Like, any word that you could think of that was derogatory, I've heard it all being used in reference to somebody that's taking care of you. But then we, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm too rational, but then I'm always thinking, like, you know, this person is sick. I don't, you know, their life outside of here might be miserable. They might not have no family. And instead of the nurse being a person that they could embrace and talk to, they want somebody to take all their pain out on. So you go in there and, you know, get the fuck out of here. I don't want you. And it's like, sir, can I, you know, do you need to get up and use the restroom? You know, the doctor gave me some orders that I need to carry out. Would you like me to carry out those orders? What? Yeah, y'all would. I don't know, man. We signed up for a very nice career field, but we do deal with a lot. So yeah, that's my schmeal today on racism in healthcare. Yeah, it's Angel. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Angel the Psych NP. Ciao.
I want you.